This season on the Digital Transformist, we're looking at where people get stuck. If there's a reason I had for relaunching the podcast in a different direction, it's because after working in this space for a long time, what I noticed is most companies have like really big ambitions about where they want to take their transformation, and they get stuck in a handful of different places. So we're going to talk to people who've either been successful all the way through, and that's probably going to be in the minority, and we're going to talk to people who were able to execute really strongly on kind of pillar X, but Y and Z were a mystery, or they spent a lot of time and effort and money on that kind of investment and didn't go anywhere. And so the areas we're going to look at, I think the first one that's kind of overlooked is change management. And so if you're doing digital transformation, especially in the areas that we focus in, mostly industrial, so manufacturing, distribution, construction, stuff like that. This isn't something that your team has done before. So leadership and CEO might have this big vision about where we're going and how we're going to do it. Everyone's going to pull together and we're going to move ahead. And yet the people further down the organization are used to doing things in a much more probably manual, individual way. Sometimes you might have sales and warehouse people that have done things a certain way for 10, 20, even 30 years we've run into. And so a transformation effort is going to run right into the brick wall of this isn't how we've always done things. How are we going to change that? And so we've got some ideas around how we're going to think about talking about transformation in a way that makes it all the way down, so that when you make the investment of both time and resources and energy about a digital transformation, it's successful with the people who actually have to do the work. I think that's really important. Another pillar where people are getting stuck is picking the right things to work on. And so when you look at digital transformation, if you look at my inbox from this morning, I got probably, 10 AI emails and this and that product and so, espousing these great ideas about how they're going to, conquer the world. There are too many choices. And so one of the things I've seen people get stuck with is when you look at a transformation effort, they pick a bunch of tools. And even worse, they pick a tool to solve a problem they haven't even fixed in the company yet. So we're going to look at what tools are out there, what seems to be working, and also the sort of the mindset around how can you figure out your process first and then apply tools and transformation efforts to the process and how you want to do things differently, and not just try to plug a tool in to do something that really should have been a strategic move first. And the last pillar we're going to look at is where you can differentiate yourself in the market. I think one of the really interesting things to think about is that when you're going to market with tools and products that everyone else uses, you're not really making a difference. So if you use, NetSuite to do, your work on a day-to-day basis, well, so does everybody else. So when you're competing against someone else, you don't really have an advantage. And so our specialty is that we're looking at ways to create something that's a unique proposition to the market and probably even gets you a multiple on your exit, because you've created sort of a software transformation lever to move the business with that's different and sustainable and ownable by only you. And so picking how to do that and what your strategies might be around which piece to focus on, what to build, how to look at that as the total cost of ownership over a long period of time, that's really important. And I think it's something that people overlook a lot. This season on the podcast, we're going to talk to Tim VanMegen. And one of the things he brings to the table is operational excellence within manufacturing. And so many times in a transformation effort, they try to apply new software, new techniques to something that really is an operational problem, and they're just going to make it worse. So if you've got, a bottleneck in your operational process, how is it going to help you if we find out a way to have that bottleneck be 5 times worse by sending more to the line? So Tim's going to talk to us about how we can look at our line and sometimes even I've heard stories where he said he's been able to increase output 40 or 50% with no additional equipment, no additional people, and it's just training and ordering and process kind of orientation around how we produce things better and more efficiently on the line. And where our worlds overlap is that a lot of times we'll identify a process problem that is physical in nature, and it's a new machine or it's a new kind of way of constructing how people put things together. And sometimes that you might want to have better diagnostics or telemetry on the equipment, or information from your data warehouse that can inform a better way to do things, or even identify what new products your clients or customers might want. And so where those two worlds overlap, we're finding a way to both achieve operational excellence in the plant, but also from a digital point of view, how to operate more efficiently, faster, better margins, and find new products that are a space in the marketplace. Also this season on the podcast, we're going to talk to Mark Baldino about user experience and how looking at the way that your digital tools work between each other and within themselves makes a huge difference for how well people are able to both ramp up on them. So as you're growing, you have new people trying to learn new tools. If they're not easy to use, they're not going to use them, or they're going to be slower. And that when you build your own tools, that looking at your process and mapping, how you go from, lead to quote to order to shipment to fulfillment, all that kind of stuff. If those tools aren't efficient for your own internal users, then on the external side, on the customer side, what they're experiencing are things like, why did I get this email? This thing didn't ship yet. Or why does it say it's coming tomorrow if it's not? Or I got the wrong product. All those sorts of things. If you look at it through the lens of user experience, we can figure out a way to do transformation efforts that make more sense to your internal team. And then further, for external tools, whether it's e-commerce or customer portals or things like that, if there's a way to look at the way your customers and employees interact with tools and use them on a day-to-day basis and optimize them, you'll find they ramp up faster. Your growth is less expensive because you don't have to train people as much, and people will do more and be more efficient with the tools. This season on the podcast, we're also going to have a guest on who talks about how they revolutionized the retail business with a new set of tools that didn't exist in the market. And I think a lot of times this is where the best products come from, where they look at what's happening, for example, in a store, and especially as you're managing like the entire country worth of stores. How do you best communicate and organize a workforce whose day-to-day changes all the time? So whether there's a new promotion, there's a new product, there's a new way of operating. We have a new way we want to do things here at Company X. Those questions were kind of remained unsolved and were extremely manual up until now. And so it took a lot of courage to come up with and create a product to solve that problem. But it's a big problem, and it makes, especially in today's labor market, where coming in to finding good people, finding people that want to do retail isn't as easy as it was in the past. And so having great tools to empower them and help them through their day is really important, and is the story of a company that's really starting to blow up in the retail space. So I'm really excited to launch this season of the Digital Transformist. I hope you're going to follow us on wherever you find your podcasts. And if you want to engage with us, you can find us on LinkedIn. Looking forward to seeing you there.